Perry Cummings Jr. here. This is The Perspective. Just in case you missed it.
The IMF is approving US $415 million in emergency financing for Jamaica after Hurricane Melissa. Ladies and gentlemen, what has this government accomplished so far with all the money that we've been receiving? What has this government accomplished so far with the millions and millions and millions of dollars that we've been receiving in the name of financial aid? Remember, Rubio and Mr. Holness had a conversation recently, and we are seeing, ladies and gentlemen, where Jamaica is not lack of any funding. Let me make that pellucid. I don't want persons to think that Jamaica is broke. If there was ever a time in Jamaica's history where we have money, and I can proudly say that this country is a rich country, it's today. Trillions of dollars, Sir C. I'm just being modest by saying millions and millions and millions. But to cut to the chase, let's just say trillions. What is the money doing? Billions. Where is the money going? And you still have people, ladies and gentlemen, who are suffering in the western part of the island. You know, I'm going to sound like a scratch record, but I don't care. Because the issue with Jamaica is that we speak about these things for a time, and then nothing comes out of it. We speak about these things for a little time, and we take some intimidation from the government badness. Remember, you know, Chronic Law did the song. See them all on him there. I saw on him. But remember that Chronic Law sing the song. Don't ask me why I know. I know them too. Government badness and jewelness. Remember that this is the first government I have seen and heard dancehall artists where glorify badness, uses the Prime Minister's name as a point of reference to communicate the type of badness that they're involved in. Remember, it's the first time I've seen that. I'm young, so let me talk. This is what me come and see. If you know about any other government in the past that dancehall artists come and say them bad and them are criminal, correct me, because I can be wrong. But since I've started my political journey, this is the only administration that I know of where dancehall artists allude to this government as being a criminal organization. That's what Chronic Law said. Go look it up. Government badness and jewelness. It's a disgrace. And with that badness, ladies and gentlemen, we've been getting trillions of dollars, billions of dollars to relieve the people, to take them out of the muck, the decay, the disgrace. And up to now, I can't see anything meaningful. Nothing meaningful. As a matter of fact, the conversations have died out. Last year, we saw every other day was another press conference and another meeting about the relief as it relates to the aftermath of Melissa. Nowadays, you're lucky if you hear anything about Melissa. Because it was all about PR. It was all about PR. It's all about looking good. I believe, ladies and gentlemen, that it's a criminal act. It's a criminal act for this administration, this government, to be getting so much money, and we are yet to see anything meaningful for the people in the West. People still hungry. People still suffering. It's a shame and a disgrace, and nobody is saying anything much about it. Mr. Holness and the administration, we want greater transparency as to what this money is doing, where the money are go, where it do. Where is it going? People still homeless, Gloria Swaby. People still hungry. It's a disgrace. But other persons are speaking up. And it's not just an isolated conversation. Because if you really look at it, ladies and gentlemen, several sectors in this Jamaica, they are being severely affected because of this lackadaisical government, this reactive government, and it is a call for concern.
More than 600 schools damaged and 150,000 students displaced by Melissa. But hidden within the statistics, the thousands of infants whose memories of school so far include rising floodwaters and destroyed classrooms. As Crystal Williams now reports, the opposition is raising concern.
80 days after Hurricane Melissa battered Jamaica, opposition spokesperson on education, Damian Crawford, is concerned about the learning loss students are grappling with. He argues there may be long-term implications.
A household with a universal degree is less likely to suffer from poverty. A household with a universal degree is less likely to have inaccess to healthcare. Therefore, if a household with university degree does not in the main suffer from the ills of the society, it seems to me a reasonable policy to get as much households with degrees as we can. Therefore, what we have before us is that we are going to be further challenged for independence and households with degrees based on the impact of Melissa.
Mr. Crawford compares the phases of education to a race, as he believes the beginning is just as important as the other stages. According to research he cited from former Education Minister Ruel Reid, 80% of the brain's capacity is developed in the first 1,000 days, hence the vitality of early childhood education.
The first challenge that we're facing is that the majority of basic schools are actually owned by private individuals and private struggling individuals.
He observes that the rehabilitation of these basic schools may be slower than that of schools of other levels.
Therefore, those persons who own basic schools are less likely to be able to fund the rehabilitation and will unlikely be covered by government. In fact, to this point, we have heard no proposal for basic school rehabilitation. So the government's coffers is focused on primary school rehabilitation, on secondary school rehabilitation, but no consideration for basic school, which are not generally owned by the government.
Mr. Crawford was keynote speaker at the Rotary Club of Kingston luncheon meeting on Thursday. Crystal Williams reporting for CVM News.
Ladies and gentlemen, with the trillions and trillions, billions and billions, the millions and millions of money that this government, they cannot say that they don't have any money, you know. They cannot tell me, they cannot tell you, they cannot convince us, ladies and gentlemen, that they don't have the money. There is a lack of funding in the early childhood development in this country. You heard it yourself. So what is the money doing? Not even in education we see an investment. Not even in education you see an investment. So what is the money doing?